Hi, my name is Jeremy. I'm from Fudent Interactive, and I'm going to do a little demo of a plugin we put together called Mixtape. Mixtape is a simple Unreal Engine 4 plugin that makes it easy for you to add soundtracks to your games. So getting Mixtape up and running is really simple. You just have to find the class Mixtape Player, and once you get that, you drag it into the scene. It doesn't really matter where it is in the scene. And the next thing you have to do is specify an initial playlist. And so we will create a new playlist, which is simple. You just go to Blueprint class and inherit from the class Mixtape Playlist, right there. And then once you do that, you can rename it, of course. Call it Playlist Main, or Game, yeah, Playlist Game. And then you open that up, and you'll see there's a few options. It's just a data-only class, so really not any logic or anything in here, just these things. So we have shuffle, min time between tracks, and max time between tracks. So you can insert a delay between tracks. And then, of course, the tracks that are in the playlist. So we'll pick a few tracks. Just a quick note on these tracks. They're all by Dale North of Scarlet Moon Productions. And I highly recommend his work. He's amazing. I worked with him on the game we're making called Sky Trader. And yeah, I can't recommend him enough. We actually are shipping the plugin with a few of his samples. So you have a chance to check out some of his other work. Okay, so we've got our 3 tracks. It's going to shuffle between them randomly. And we're just going to go ahead and set the min and max time between tracks to be, yeah, we'll just set it to be 0 for now. So that pretty much just means that it'll play one track after another without any delay. Okay, and that's really, oh, we have to specify the initial playlist in the Mixtape player as well. So playlist game is in there, and now we just hit play and we'll hear music. So that works. And if we press stop and we hit play again, you'll hear, hopefully, yeah, a new track starts. So it's a different track. It shuffles randomly every time, so it'll be different every time you hit play. And that's really about it. But I will show you a few other functions that come with Mixtape, which are pretty useful. Okay, so we're just going to open up the first-person character. It doesn't have to be in the character blueprint, obviously. You can put it in your player controller or wherever else makes sense to control your music. So we'll assign input to F. And so when we press F, we'll play the next track. And so that's a static Mixtape function. You can call it from anywhere. And it simply executes the next track. In our case, it'll be a random track. And it's got a fade time, so it'll fade out the current track and into the next track. And we'll press play. And you'll see when we press F, sure enough, it goes to the next track. There we go. And another time. And that's how that works. So very simple. All right, the next bit of functionality I'll show is the ability to stop and play the playlist. And so we'll just arbitrarily assign that to the key B. So when we press the B key, let's stop the Mixtape playlist. And when we release it, we'll just play it again. Now this, when you stop it, it will actually reset the playlist. So when we play it, it'll start it as a brand new track, randomly chosen, of course. Right. And so you'll see when we press the key, it stops, fades out, and we release it, we get a new track. And that's how that works. Okay, and the next bit of functionality, probably the most important part, honestly, is the ability to switch playlists out at runtime. So we'll just assign that to the G key. So we press the G key. We're going to switch to, oh, first actually we have to create a new playlist. So we'll create a playlist. Again, we'll inherit it from the Mixtape playlist class. There it is. All right, and we'll just call this one Mixtape Combat. Because this is actually a very common use case is when you're in combat, a lot of times you'll be playing different music. And so Mixtape will be able to fade out of the current track and into the combat track pretty seamlessly. So we'll just pick a track that works for combat. Let's see here. This one should be great. No delay between tracks. So shuffle doesn't matter, obviously, because it's just one track. And you, of course, can have playlists that only have one track. That doesn't matter. So we will assign the command switch playlist from Mixtape and specify our new playlist here, playlist combat. And when we release it, we'll switch out of combat mode. So we'll switch the playlist back to playlist main. Now, one thing to note is this won't actually switch immediately. It waits for the current track to play out and then switches it. So in the case of switching into a combat playlist, we'll obviously want it to switch immediately. So we want to go to next track, which will load the track out of the playlist we just gave it. Okay, and then when we switch back, we'll also go to the next track because we want it to switch immediately. Let's go ahead and specify a longer fade time just so it's more obvious. We'll do 1.5 seconds for fade in and fade out. Compile that. All right, and test it out. There we go. All right, now we'll go to combat mode by pressing the button. There we go. We're in combat mode. And we'll release it. And go back to regular. And now we're in combat mode again. And release it. Go back to normal mode. And that's how switching playlists works in Mixtape. Alright, so that pretty much covers all of the core functionality for Mixtape. It's a very simple plugin by design. It's supposed to kind of work with any project. You should just be able to drag it in and it'll work immediately with very little setup and hopefully almost no architectural changes. And if you do have any questions or suggestions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you very much for checking out Mixtape and have a great day.